This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Hey everybody, Carm Capriato back at MAX, the 45th anniversary here in Orlando, Florida at the Rosen Center. Man, this place is really big, I have to tell you. We're here the January 29th to February 1st every year. If you're into thermal management, period, you need to be here each and every week. Thank you so much to Donnie Cipher and NASTAF for sponsoring us to be here. Hey, I also want to thank Honeywell and Cora for having us here at the 45th Annual MAX Conference here in Orlando. Great people, and we appreciate them sponsoring us to be here. Thank you so much to our great sponsors here on the Town Hall Academy. Did you know that NAPA Trax has on-site training plus 6-day-a-week support? Well, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn all about your business and how you run it. Find out more at NAPA Trax, NAPATRACS.com. And hey, are you ready to optimize training with today's class? Well, roll out a training plan for your automotive shop in just 5 minutes daily. Boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers at today'sclass.com. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Do I have a panel for you? In fact, it hurt my brain to even talk to these guys just before this, because we're going to talk all about thermal management. With me is Ryan Koyman, Director of Training, Standard Motor Products, 4 Seasons. Knowing you for a bunch of years, thank you for all the support you've always had on the show.
Yeah. Always a pleasure.
So we're here at MAX. Lots going on here. So many people that I know. Chuck Abbott is here, Global Marketing Manager for Cora.
Correct.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
We interviewed you back in,
my gosh,
I'm going to tell you, you didn't have as much gray hair, and neither did I. It was 2017.
There you go.
It was 2017.
In New York.
There was such a great quote from that episode because I went back and I did some study on it. Here's what Chuck said. Shop owners need to become a consultant for their customers' vehicles. And it could have been because of the AMRA connection that you have on the board, this whole thing with building trust.
That's right.
You're on the board of AMRA and SAE. So thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Adam Kimmel is here, and Adam was with me last year. What's your title again?
Senior Manager Business Development.
That's right. I knew that.
Side, yeah, for the Americas region mainly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, yeah, great to be back. I mean, this topic just gets more and more interesting every year, it seems, as everything's changed.
So thermal management is a concept here. In fact, everyone knows that my declaration, The Rise of the Mechanical and Technology Specialist, not only includes my passion for that language shift, but also many of the other jobs inside of our business. And air conditioning specialist is now crossed out, and it is now thermal management specialist. In fact, it's a really respectable word to say if you understand HVAC as it equates to mobile thermal management. I'm sorry, man, that is just sexy.
I think it's a more accurate explanation of what really happens in today's vehicles. I mean, we'll get in this significant more depth, but it used to be about keeping the customer cool or warm, right? Keeping the cabin of the vehicle, the temperature that the driver of the vehicle wants it to be at. Now it's so much more than that. It's about cooling the electric motors. It's about cooling or heating the batteries, right? We've got to keep them between 65 and 90 degrees, kind of their optimal operating range there. And so it's about thermal management of the vehicle itself, keeping the vehicle in its peak operating range more so than the customer.
And there's many more components, and we're using refrigerants and coolants to make all of those things happen.
Yeah, and I think the notion of specialist, I mean, there's a niche and a focus to it. So whoever can focus the best and the closest has a competitive advantage in the marketplace for their own careers. So I think it's the more information that we can provide them and they can absorb, I think it's in their interest.
When Adam was on the show last year, and some of this stuff is beyond my pay grade, and everybody knows that, but you know, my job is just to get this information out, right? Even if I sit here and I absorb it, just like my listener. And it was last year that the word fluorine came up. And I was just fascinated with this. We need fluorine in our world today?
Fluorine is essential. Yeah, I mean, it's in everything we do, every computer chip, every, many thermoplastics. So there are so many segments, medical propellants and things. It's just essential.
What was cool to me is, and I just joined Cora here recently, but where fluorine actually comes from, it actually comes from rocks, crystal rocks that come out of a mine.
Yeah.
And then they're, processed into gas. And it's just like,
We learned that last year, episode 937 last year, that Adam was in, blowing my mind about that stuff. And I think you want to go back and listen to that if you want to get yourself up to I really know what I'm doing and I know what the products I'm using. Fluorine. So who's teaching a class? You and Chuck. What's it going to be? What are you going to talk about?
So just really about the future of HVAC or of thermal management on today's vehicles. Adam and I presented yesterday at the AMRA event, and now Chuck and I are going to do it this afternoon here at Max. And so, kind of ham and egg here, but I'll talk about the component side of it and really the shift from, as I mentioned, just keeping the customer cool to now keeping the vehicle in its happy place, the evolution that's come with it, and really changing the verbiage from miles driven to hours of operation. With today's electronic compressors, I think that's literally one of the greatest advancements in the mobile HVAC world is now we don't have to have the engine running with an electric compressor. It can run independent of the engine. If your car is parked in Phoenix and it's 110 degrees, that compressor is going to run. It's going to cool the battery. It's going to cool the vehicle down. You don't think you've driven the vehicle, but it's been running and the system's been operating this whole time. Similarly, if you're in Minneapolis, it's 20 degrees below. If the vehicle is equipped with a heat pump, it's going to be operating to maintain that battery temperature. And so hours of operation is much different than miles driven. And that increases the service opportunities, I think, for all of us and certainly with our listeners. I think us in the aftermarket are always looking for new service opportunities. There's a lot more parts and a lot more failures.
The key point there, though, is that these systems are not just running when you're running the car. They're running when you're not running the car. Because they're maintaining systems within the car, maintaining the battery. We always think of, mileage. And I think that's a very important point.
I think the hours of operation, I'm thinking of my riding lawnmower right now, right? We talk about hours. How many hours does this have? And that was a learning I had to take when I got one upgraded from the push mower to go, well, how many hours does it have? And it's just a little bit of a mindset shift. But yeah, that thermal management doesn't stop and doesn't take a day off.
So you could have a 3-year-old tractor. I have a tractor and of course it has the hours that I've used it. It could be 4 years old, but it only could have 100 hours.
Right.
And you know what I find fascinating? I think for anyone that's not a non-automotive person, and we tell them the story about the electric compressors and all the electric things on a vehicle today that you don't have to have a belt to run.
Correct.
And I think that's fascinating. I don't think there's a lot of people really respect. I mean, they just get in the car and they drive it.
Right. And I'm married to one of those people. and so.
Me too.
And it's magic, right? You hop in the car and it just works.
It goes.
Right. Yeah. I'm the opposite and cursed by knowing about every little part in the vehicle and thinking you hit a pothole like, ooh, man, that did a lot here. But I'm also the guy, I've got a Toyota Highlander hybrid in the garage and I walk by it with my key fob and I pay attention. The vehicle's waking up thinking I'm going to get in it. So all of a sudden now the electric coolant pumps start running. The control valves start actuating. I'm tuned in enough that I hear the vehicle start doing stuff. My wife doesn't notice that at all. But also, I might walk through the garage without the key fob on, and I hear those same pumps cycling and doing stuff at 2 a.m.
Is the vehicle pissed that you didn't get in and take it for someone?
Depends. If it's me, I'll probably take it easy on the car, but it might miss me. But other family members, maybe not so much.
What's new with Cora, Adam?
Well, we've a lot since we talked last. So we've got 2 blends that we're here talking about for thermal management of electric vehicles and for traditional passenger cars for the aftermarket. We're launching them this year. They'll be in market, so you'll see them. And they are thermal management. That's exactly what they're there for. And our point of view is blends are the future in refrigerants. So I think for years, people remember the R12 days, and then it went to R134A, and it was real linear and real simple. And then for a while, the thought was, well, it'll just go to YF and still linear and still simple. But they're starting to become, especially with EV thermal management opportunities, more and more things it has to do. If you can imagine a scale that there's this list of criteria is just getting heavier, and poor YF is up here by itself as a single molecule trying to keep it balanced. It can't do it anymore. I think that's the lesson. And so what we've done is to say, well, if you take some of these little building block pieces and make a composite refrigerant or a blend, as we call it, it can balance that scale and it can start to deliver all of the growing list of performance requirements, of environmental requirements. that are needed. And so you can customize performance now by piecing these refrigerants together into mixtures.
So let's talk about blends for just a little bit. And then I want you to, I'm walking around here. People are saying 1, 2, 3, 4 YF may be gone and it had such a short lifestyle. Is this true?
Well, it's not so short. First introduced into vehicles in Europe in 2009. In the United States, 2013. So that's 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
But it's in the aftermarket.
How many shops still are blown away?
Because the warranty period.
Correct. Yeah. I get phone calls, probably 20 a year, of shops or salespeople going, I need a YF air conditioning class. We have an air conditioning class, a great one. And we talk about YF, but you still have a compressor. You still have a condenser.
It's not about the refrigerant.
Yeah. You have all this other stuff. The machine's different. The operations the machine's going to go through is probably different than you had with your 134A machine, but you still service it the same. The pressures are really close and a lot of that stuff. And so a lot of people haven't grasped that concept, really.
Yeah. YF introduced one thing that was to the market, and that was flammable refrigerants. So that's really where the emphasis is on the training classes and the difference in the Section 609 and all that. It's how do you service it? How do you remain safe? There's some safety standards actually built into from the OEM side through SAEJ 2844. So you have to have an evaporator that's designed to deal with flammable refrigerants because you don't want the flammable gas floating into your cabin while you're lighting up a cigarette.
And I think it's worth noting YF, the flammability isn't a huge risk like propane would be or some A3 highly flammable, but it isn't none. And so that risk has to be considered and designed for. And I think that's the point of view of the blends that we see. I mean, there's kind of systems that are designed for non-flammables and then systems that are designed for mild flammables. And so if you can have a replacement for each, you don't have to change those systems at all, but you have a replacement available to make things as easy as possible for system manufacturers.
But isn't windshield washer fluid more flammable than YF?
Yeah, and brake fluid.
Right. So, it kind of kills that.
It's relative. It's relative.
The guy that's going to complain about that also has a can of gas for his lawnmower sitting in the back seat of the car.
And that's a fair point, but the brake fluid is not circulating in the cabin, nor is the windshield washer.
But some of the Mercedes actually have a hydrocarbon heater, so it's actually burning fuel or fumes off the fuel tank to do that. So to me, I like to live life on the edge, I guess. It's a moot point, but I've done dumber things in my life than drive a car with wire.
Oh, for sure.
Let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax was built from the ground up to make your business more profitable and efficient. We provide an extensive set of tools to increase and track profitability in real time. NAPA Trax offers the industry's best post-sale support, hands down, and we train your people on site. Yep, on site. And we offer remote refresher training 10 times a week, and customer support is open 6 days a week. Give us a call, visit the website, or join our Facebook community today to learn more. We'll prove to you that Trax is the single best shop management system in the business. NAPA Trax is always customized and tailored for you, whether you're a one-man shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Visit us on the web at NAPATRAX, that's NAPATRACS.com. Transform your team with today's class, where automotive training is easy, quick, and fun. Just 5 minutes a day on our app can eliminate hours of looking up forgotten information later. It's perfect for technicians, advisors, and managers alike. Keep critical knowledge fresh and top of mind, ensuring your team operates at peak efficiency. Today's class is impactful, accessible from anywhere, and a bit of fun too, and we're not talking about after-hours pizza either. For training that gets results, turn to todaysclass.com.
So it was almost like here comes the EV brigade, and thermal management is more important than ever.
Yes. So EVs came along and batteries came along.
Yeah.
And batteries, and Ryan mentioned this earlier, batteries have to be, lithium-ion batteries have to be within a certain range in order to maintain in order to charge them. You can't have a battery that's at 20 below zero and charge it. It just won't accept the charge. It also will not accept charge if it's 116 degrees outside. So either you got to keep it between the, 40 and 65, 90,
65 and 90.
65 and 90 degrees. Yeah. So
ideally, and that's the most expensive part of the EV, right? And so that's how we see people's cars getting totaled out on the mechanical side now. That battery wore out. and it wasn't taken proper care of. Like, think about our microphones and other stuff that have rechargeable batteries, cell phones, laptops, all that stuff. There's a proper way to charge and discharge and maintain them and do what you can to prolong the life of that battery. Same thing on the vehicle. That's the most crucial part that we need to protect on the vehicle. And so thermal management is a key element of that.
Talk about the training that you do out in the field and all the trainers that you have working for you. Are you finding that, I know there's this whole diagnostic thing, I get all that over here, but are you finding that the class attendance in thermal management is up?
That's our number one seller year after year.
It is.
Absolutely. So we refresh that class every 2 years because the world is continually changing on that stuff. We include a lot of EV, electric compressor stuff. There's still the good old basics of refrigerant and how the system works, but we're tipping that scale more and more into servicing the electric system now. Tesla, for example, you have to go into the dash and do a procedure to suck it down and to recharge it, and just making people aware of that.
That's a technical term, right?
Suck it down. Yeah, exactly. And so, our goal is to teach a man to fish rather than give him a silver bullet or a fish. Here's where you find the information to do this. And first and foremost, don't kill yourself. Be safe about it. But even so many other stuff, with electric compressor, you've got the high voltage going through it. Some of them are going to have a built-in inverter on the compressor. Some it's going to be done and so there's different styles. And so the technician has to diagnose it different, understand the operating characteristics. If there's a short inside that compressor, let's say somebody used the wrong refrigerant oil, it can cause an internal resistance change. And it's going to shut that vehicle down if you don't service that vehicle properly. So that's another thing I don't think enough people talk about, is having separate equipment dedicated for your electric vehicle service.
You actually have coolants now that are running across the batteries to keep the batteries cool, right? Or to cool them out and heat them up, right? Well, what happens if that coolant becomes conductive? You got a big fire on your hands, it's uncontrollable. There's all kinds of new considerations that we have.
Yeah, and I think we know that the battery chemistry is probably not where it's going to end up, right? I mean, lithium ion is the incumbent because it's always been the incumbent. It's easy, it's cheap, it's available, but it's susceptible to thermal runaway.
Yep.
I mean, if that temperature gets out of where it needs to be,
like 160, I think, is the threshold.
Yeah, it can light off. So, I mean, there are other chemistries, LFP, lithium ion phosphate. There are nickel metal hydrides, and I think the dream scenario, solid state.
Yep.
Solid state's one of those chemistries. It's like, it's 5 to 10 years away every time you ask the question, no matter what.
I recently read about that. Is that a figment of our imagination?
Well, okay, here's my tinfoil hat answer. There's been so much money invested into current technologies, and everybody's building these battery plants for lithium ion. So they kind of have to run that path down and start recouping some of the investments on that. Meanwhile, there's better technologies, in my opinion, sitting there waiting for the taking.
Wasn't it Hyundai that announced aluminum something? I just read.
I don't know about that one.
All right.
Aluminum. Yeah, but
aluminum hydride. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, fluorine goes into making aluminum too.
You're my fluorine.
Go back to fluorine.
It's actually, what was it called? Spar? Yeah,
fluorospar.
Yeah.
Is fluorine in toothpaste?
Yeah, sir.
Of course.
It certainly is. Maybe in your water.
The solid state piece it's the best solution, but somebody's got to swallow the R&D investment to get over the mountain. And that's the piece. I mean, who is able and willing to do that at any given point, given mature technology?
Guys, look at the money being poured into AI. Why can't we get money poured into this?
Great question. I mean, it's a priority thing, right? Budgets and, who knows?
Yeah. And we're in 2025. I think we've seen a lot of money shifting in the last couple of weeks here.
Oh, we have, haven't we?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So
all of a sudden there's 300 billion here and another trillion there. And
so depending on who in the administration is listening to this podcast right now, this could be a real game.
Hello, Donald.
But there's maybe another reason why blends are so nice, because as battery chemistries change, the thermal management needs are going to change. Is it the same kilowatts needed? Probably not. Is it the same compatibility? Probably not. So it's worth us doing the work to be able to handle and utilize blends to adapt to all these changing conditions that are just constantly coming at us.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we get the questions, blends, composite refrigerants. How do I deal with them? How do I deal with them in my shop? How do I work with them? So that we are solving that problem too. We need to for the market. So, what are the service recommendations? So we're developing best practices around using blend refrigerants and keeping them separated from the single component refrigerants like R134A and R1234YF. And also when does the blend composition no longer qualify for that refrigerant and should no longer be used and therefore be reclaimed. So all those questions that the customers are going to have, we're answering before these products actually hit the market.
And that might be a difference from years ago when the 12 to 134 transition happened. I think that predates me, but a lot of the stories that I would hear is that there was a lot of siloed work streams going on. There wasn't as good of collaboration as there probably should have. So can't comment to that, but what I can say is we're kind of becoming obsessed with that, trying to enroll every stakeholder to make sure their interests are accounted for so that we do the work up front to make this easy. I mean, our point of view is these iotropic blends that, have components that boil at different temperatures have a little bit of a service opportunity. They are the easy button for the system manufacturers. So if we do that work up front in service, everyone's life gets easier on the back end. So it's a competitive advantage then for service shops to be able to handle these blends, to provide better solutions, lower cost solutions, significantly so in some cases for the end user who doesn't notice any difference on the back end.
Hey, Ryan, what are some new components that we just don't see or we haven't seen in the past in AC systems, but we see them now in thermal management?
Good question. So it's always the buzzword stuff like the octo valve, right? You hear in the Mustang Mach-E and in some of the Teslas and many more control valves. The one big question here, traditionally, if an AC compressor hand grenades, we're going to replace the condenser. We're going to replace the orifice tube or TXV. We're basically going to replace everything but the evaporator core. The big question is now, how far through the thermal management system does that debris go on? Is it going to plug up some of the passageways on the battery? All these additional components like electronic TXVs. The chillers. There's just so much different stuff that this is all going through now. How far does the debris make it through the system? And are we totaling a vehicle out at that point? I've got good relations with people at Tesla service centers and with Ford and just trying to understand what they do. And they're kind of like, we're kind of waiting. We'll replace the heat pump or we'll replace this component. And we haven't really got into it. So there's not a lot of good answers. But back to your question, we've got the electronic TXVs, which I think immensely, you pair that with electric compressor, the opportunities are for efficiency and max productivity is.
And there's not just one in systems. There's multiple TXVs in a system now.
And they can open and close passageways and fine tune and adjust to make sure that the system is what it needs to be and really balance that system out on its own. It's an awesome time to be servicing vehicles, in my opinion. A lot of cool stuff, and the vehicle does itself. And so if you're a technology person and you're not afraid to grab a scan tool or do a touch screen on the vehicle and dig into it and understand it. I mean, once you put a Tesla into service mode, just the diagrams it shows on the dash and it shows the flow, and you can see so much of that system and really help pinpoint the diagnosis with it. And a lot of guys will go, well, I like my old 70s Chevelle, or I could do this.
But you're not ready for it's time to retire or go sell shoes at Skechers.
Correct.
And if you're 17 years old, 18 years old, and you're thinking about a career path right now,
this is it.
And you love messing around on your phone and your computer and love coding things. Today's cars have so many computers on board and they're not greasy anymore. The EV, there's no grease. Well, maybe a little bit. Well, I'm not sure where, but
probably less though.
A lot less.
You're wearing your big gloves anyway. So
and that's right. Mickey Mouse gloves since we're in Disney World.
Right. Yeah. So one thing is they're talking about, and kudos to them for thinking about the serviceability and thinking further down the path. Coming from my background as a technician, aftermarket shop, it's always that question. And we see that all the time. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners are probably still on that fence. Is it time for me to invest in a YF machine yet? As Chuck said, it's been around since 2009 in some pieces, but there's still a lot of people that haven't seen the demand for it and haven't made the purchase. So they're wondering about that. Now, all of a sudden, we're talking blends and other refrigerants. What do I do with this? And so kudos again to the guys here of addressing that and understanding the different fittings and the different machine requirements for that and helping clarify that message right now for people of, we threw another wrench in the works for them now. This is probably the first time a lot of people are hearing about the blends and some of that stuff. And they're wondering about it. It might be time to research a little further and make a different business decision.
But the complexity and the added technology and the added capability is creating kind of a reshuffling of the people that grab this and that are early adopters and that understand it and promote it are going to win. So it really behooves them to say, all right, well, let's learn about it. And so there's the education opportunity, doing things like this, article writing, training, all the things. We're developing so many educational tools to say, don't worry, we'll help you cross the bridge. So join us, but it's worth it on the back end as a competitive advantage.
So as a consumer, why would I want to take my YF car and convert it to a blend like 444A?
YF is as close to as good a single molecule as there is, but it can no longer do everything. So when you compare it to 134A, there's a 10% performance drop. So thinking EVs, that goes to range. Does anybody that own an EV care about the range? That's
100%.
number one thing, right? Range anxiety. So that's a headwind. It degrades into a substance called trifluoroacetic acid, which is the substance that's
a big word,
right? It's let's call it TFA.
I'm not repeating it.
TFA. So that's the substance that Europe seems to hate. And there's all this proposed legislation because they're so concerned about it getting into groundwater and affecting consumers. So getting away from that material and the cost, the YF cost continues to be high. And so these blends are made of existing materials that are used in different industries. So the cost is buffered due to the economy of scale. So you can piece together these commodity materials into a way that's favorable for the performance, for the regulations, without the downsides that we see. So the efficiency is better, the performance is better, the cost is better. So I think we've given good, fast, and cheap, which I thought was impossible. So we've done it. Yeah.
Consumers understand.
Right. Iron triangle. So yeah.
In one question that you addressed in the presentation that I had the privilege of co-presenting with you the other day, it's a blend, right? So there's multiple molecules in it. As it starts leaking out over time, does one of them leak faster than the other, or what's the result?
Sure. And not all blends are created equal. So there are some blends that have this link called an azeotrope, meaning they act like a single molecule when it leaks out. So they go at the same rate.
Yep.
Our blends don't. They're called zeotropic. They're 400 series molecules. So they boil at different temperatures slightly. And I think the traditional opinion would be, whichever one has the highest pressure would go first, then the next one, then the next one. Not the case, right? They still boil off together. It just isn't a linear relationship. The one that boils at the highest pressure goes first. But what we see is that composition stays in specification until the bulk leak exceeds like 25%. Right. So my question then becomes, at a bulk leak of 25%, you're going to get
a recharge
hot. Yeah. Right. There's a problem, a bigger problem than that. So it's not as big of it's more of a technical concern than a practical one.
Right.
Yeah.
I've hoped you all kept up with this.
This is good stuff.
No, really.
Good stuff.
Honest to God, I got to tell you, Adam, every time I talk to you, you blow my mind. Do we envision a machine? We talked about people not buying the YF machine. Do we envision a machine that's going to be able to do it all and maybe take them blends on?
Well, come down to booth 107 and check it out. Tomorrow. We've got a partner that we're working with, and they've come up with a machine that basically a retrofit machine that will receive the YF from the customer's vehicle, clean it up, put it into a tank, and then they can they can change the fittings on the vehicle, hook it back up, and then vacuum and recharge. And if that car comes back in with 444A, they hook it up and it knows it's 444A. So it knows what path to take it and it knows what refrigerant to use. It's got a brain.
Is 444A available today?
444A is.
Why did they call it that? That's so hard to say.
It can be like 444
all
right.
444A, but I kind of like 444.
Chuck's the marketer. Hook them up with something.
Yeah, it's Angel's refrigerant.
Yeah.
444.
Oh,
guys.
Yeah.
Anyways,
they assign numbers based on when you apply for them. That's the real answer. So it's so old that it was just 400
series, and he's already said it. It's a zeotropic refrigerant.
So that's the first four.
Blends have to be forced.
Took words right out of my mouth.
Of course.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that if you're in thermal management as a technology specialist, and that's one of your premieres, I'm all about this, or you're a specialty shop, and you don't stay current and you don't stay up on this stuff, how quickly are you going to go away?
So many of the classes, if you here at the MAX event this year, have to do with EVs and thermal management. And matter of fact, I set one for the Subaru Solterra, and just the number of components. I've been in air conditioning since 1993, around air conditioning since 1993, air conditioning service tools and equipment. It's spectacularly complex. That's all I can say.
But I think too that it speaks to there isn't one real clear answer. There's going to probably be options. And so as somebody, as one of the presenters for the MAX event, it's like, well, there's a bunch of options that address the problems in different ways. Each has their pluses, each has their minuses, and let the market choose. Well, that's exciting, right? That's a fun kind of cowboy situation to be in. The pecking order will be reset and the market will choose. So,
well, we keep talking about specialists, but almost back to the general, if they don't want to be labeled as specialists or don't want to dedicate to become a specialist. When I started in the shop in early 90s, 91, 92, customer would come in, their AC compressors seized up and it burned up the belt. Well, you could just get a different belt or put a different pulley on to bypass the AC compressor. Again, me coming from Michigan, it's a 10-day summer or AC season, right? Similar for you all in Buffalo. It's not the case anymore. It's such an integral part of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And if the AC system's not working or the thermal management system is not working, the vehicle's shut down. And so it's a must have, again, not just for cabin comfort, but for vehicle preservation or operation. And so you can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
There used to be shops that didn't do it. You have to.
Think about the people that I know that in my language shift, be it mechanical or technology specialist, all the technicians out there that are so good at what they do, they know air. They've done air. They get air. And I guess my whole thing is will air become, or thermal management become, even a higher specialist like we have, the diag person over here? Will we actually have some top level people that are all about thermodynamics? Because to everyone's point here, it's becoming so critically important and complex.
Well, knowledge is power, right? Whoever knows the most and with the most breadth of how the systems interrelate will be able to help their customers the most. And that's what it's really about. The customers are going to go back to people that they trust and they can go for information. So that knowledge is critical. And we as industry participants are trying to get as much of that translated and transferred as we can to help.
So to back that question, is there going to be this AC specialist? There probably will be a handful of them. But think about the automotive geeks that we know.
Mm-hmm.
You know the names that are popping in your head already.
Yeah, right.
And they're guys and gals that just dive in 100%. Whether it be drivability, whether it be air suspension, whether it be air conditioning.
Yeah, I want this.
Their thirst for knowledge is going to drive them to learn more and more about it.
Right.
And you have that person on your staff at your shop. They're probably going to be overseeing, mentoring, and helping out.
Right.
Probably in all areas. It's probably still back to your technology specialist.
Yeah.
This might fall underneath.
It absolutely will. Wow.
They'll know the EVs. They'll know that type of stuff. So.
This was great. I so enjoyed this. I'll give each of you a chance to give a final word. Remember, we're here at Max, 45th year. I find the education in the class is fascinating, especially for anyone who's been doing this their whole life to keep and stay current, but anyone who wants to kick it up a notch, to get where they need to get to, the air conditioning or the thermal management specialist, this is the place to be. And it's the 45th year. It's no slouch event. It's a great event, especially with guys like you being here. So let's go around the room. Adam, we'll start with you. Any final words to our audience?
Oh, yeah. I just think we certainly appreciate all the dialogue, and the spirit of this event is teaching. It's about the industry, not about commercial things, which I really appreciate as a science person. So I think the message is just, if you have questions, ask them. There's a chance to have your voice heard and have that considered by those making design decisions and component decisions. So let's collaborate, have a conversation, and know that we're working to try to improve the experience for these new materials and thermal management fluids for the whole value chain, the OEMs, the service providers, and the consumers. So we're excited for it.
Well said. Adam Kimmel, Cora. Chuck Abbott from Cora.
Well, first of all, Carm, thank you for having us.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you again. One of the things that I'm going to go back to a question that I don't think we answered. Is R444 available? I didn't get to the answer, but it's not quite available.
Mm-hmm. There
is a process that you have to go through the government, our bureaucracy, the EPA.
Is somebody in Washington listening?
Somebody in Washington. Hey, Donald, can you talk to the EPA and get them to issue the letter of approval? Anyway, so it is available in Europe, but not quite the USA. But anyways, appreciate you having us on, and
good to see you.
Turn it over
to see you.
To Mr.
Thanks for everything. Last word, Ryan Quinman, Standard Motor Products.
So I think one of the gist of it, and that's what's the benefit of having refrigerant manufacturers and component manufacturers in the conversation here together. Going back to my days as an aftermarket technician, shop owner, where am I going to find my parts? Am I married to the dealer? Do I have to buy it from them? Is the aftermarket going to continue to thrive and survive? And I think that's really part of our goal with these conversations here this week is, yes, companies like Standard Motor Products, our Four Seasons, NAPA Temp division, et cetera, we're always looking into these new technologies. We've got the product teams in Texas researching this day in, day out, understanding design improvement opportunities and what products do we need to have on the shelves? How soon are they going to fail? That type of stuff. And then you've got the chemical side here looking at alternative solutions and better solutions. And so I think the future is bright for the aftermarket. Continued opportunities here, more need for thermal management system repair. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the parts and you've got the chemicals to do it with.
And the education.
Absolutely.
And the willingness to want to jump in with all.
We can lead a horse to water, but we can't make it drink.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
But we continue to give the water. We put the hay and stuff out.
Okay.
I'm a cattle guy. Where the horse part.
Fellas, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Carl.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.